Hey, welcome to the show. My guest today is Pam Weiler. How are you today, Pam?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Appreciate the time. I love interviewing business people who are like, well, I'm busy this 5 days. I'll be home for 2 days. Then I'll be busy for another 8 days. And then I'll be back for this day. We'll figure something out. That's
Yeah, and
perfect.
we did.
Yeah, that's
We
perfect for
figured
the
it out.
show. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what is keeping you so busy?
Oh my goodness. That's like a loaded question.
No, no, not kids yet.
No, no kids. I'm not
Don't
going to
bring up
talk
the
about my
kids yet.
kids. Not even bringing it up.
Forget
So,
them.
yeah, aside from the fact that I have three of them. What is keeping me busy? So I have a full-time job. I work for a healthcare brand, and I am in sales. I sell custom media in the healthcare industry for a B2B publication. And what keeps me most busy with that is the fact that I have part of the East Coast as my territory, and I have part of the West Coast as my territory, and then I live in the Southeast. So I travel a lot, to say the least.
No, no. When you say a lot, what's a lot to you?
It's like every other week, and it's for like a week at a time,
Yeah,
like I'll be away for a week. And actually, it's crazy. It feels crazier now because we were grounded for 2 years
yeah,
because of, that terrible time. I don't even like to mention it. But so that it's been a very big adjustment. First of all, I'm 2 years older. And secondly, it's just the energy that you need to travel. I didn't really realize it because I got so caught up in the hustle and bustle of it
yeah.
all.
That's exactly right. I mean, I used to, and I'm still. Are you back to where you were pre
Yeah, I mean,
saying the name that
pretty
shall not be
much.
named?
Yes, please don't say it. They Yes, and the other thing is I'm in South Carolina, and
Yeah,
it feels like where where I am, like it was my parents are in New York, and then obviously my territory out in California, like those places were just completely shut down.
yeah,
Here was just a completely different attitude towards it all. So it's yeah, but we're somewhat back to normal. I think still feeling the effects of it all,
sure.
trying to get through it and figure it all out. But
Well, so I'm based in California, and
mhm.
I would go to Tennessee or I'd go to Texas or and because my daughter lives in Knoxville or outside of Knoxville, I don't want to say that. And it was so weird living in California. Everyone's masked up and quarantine and 6 feet, and the beaches are closed and stores are closed. And then I'd go to Texas. I'm like,
Mhm.
is it? It's still going on. And then I go to Tennessee.
Yeah,
My daughter's
it's
like,
crazy.
I haven't worn my mask since we came back from California. And I'm like,
Right.
well, that's the same
Yeah.
country, right?
Yeah. I think that's the one of the things that was so aggravating to me is that there was no consistency. So it
Yeah.
was like, and I think it was just, such a, it just messed with your mind. So I was fortunate enough to during that, well, probably like a month before the shutdown, I was offered an opportunity to open a yoga studio. And
Nice.
it was a yoga studio that I had gone to for my own personal health reasons because I had some autoimmune stuff that I was dealing with and I wanted to get off of all my medication. So I went there, I started doing the hot Bikram yoga, and after 5 months, got off of all my medication. And then the owner of the studio, sent a note out saying she was closing because she was moving to Florida. And I was like, no, 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 you can't. This is my medicine. This is my
Yeah.
medicine. So I ended up having the opportunity to, well, I took the opportunity. I called her and I said, who's the landlord? She said, I am. And I said, how much do you want for rent?
Yeah.
And I thought, how hard could it be to, get a couple yogis and get a couple teachers? And at the time, I wasn't certified. And how naive I was because
Yeah.
I'm running a full-time yoga business now, also in addition to my full-time job. But it's definitely rewarding,
and,
and it was definitely a saving grace through that horrible time.
and we're still not mentioning the kids,
Do
which
you
is
want me
all.
to? I won't.
Not yet. Forget them.
Okay, you just give me
Yeah.
the wink.
Yeah.
Let me know
Yeah.
when you want me to do that.
This way we'll guarantee that they have to keep listening
Exactly.
all the way to the
Exactly.
end because they never know when we're going to mention them.
Exactly. And they're actually the most interesting part of my story. So I
Well,
hope everybody stays tuned.
the other interesting part is you're the first father, son, daughter, mother combination I've had on my show. I've had husband and
Oh,
wives. So,
awesome.
I told Birdie that too. And I'm like, hey, this would be kind of cool. And then, of course, she offered up your other daughter to be a
Yeah,
guest.
her sister Haley, who's awesome. And if you need my son, I can wrangle him in also.
That'd be pretty funny.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see.
Okay. Sure.
We'll have to drag Haley out a little bit.
Mhm.
Don't know if she's up to
Mhm.
snuff with you and Birdie.
Oh, you'd be surprised. She's my
that,
feisty one. She's my feisty one, but
that's that's
she's
what I've
good.
heard. Yeah.
Hmm.
So you have the yoga. So in South Carolina, the studio wasn't closed down during the evil time.
Well, it did the evil time. I love it. Yes, actually, I had opened that yoga studio on February 15th of 2020,
Oh,
and then I had to close exactly a
a
month
month
later.
later. Yeah.
And I was flipping out a little bit, actually a
A
lot.
lot.
And I thought, what the heck have I done?
Yeah.
I had friends that were saying, you don't even know anything about yoga. Like, what are you doing here? Like, what's going on? Hence, they're no longer my friends.
Yeah.
I've changed that up a little bit. And then, yeah, so I ended up closing down, and behind the studio it was looked like a junkyard, and I thought I've got to do something to keep me busy, to keep me moving forward,
Yeah.
to stay in the state of mind of this is going to survive and we're going to be okay. And so I ended up like cleaning out the back. It was like a junkyard, and I was like literally lifted probably
Going through
about
it.
40 cinder blocks, and I set them up, and I thought this would be kind of a cool place for a garden.
Oh,
And
nice.
so I created this really awesome garden. It's called the Haven Garden. And so that's where people go out and they sit out there and they meditate, or they can go get grounded and plant things and
Yeah.
do things like that. So it's kind of,
A
from that
blessing in
horrible time.
disguise.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, without a doubt.
So I wanted to ask you, as a studio owner, my wife's a Pilates instructor, and
Mhm.
so I was curious how you felt your yoga studio being deemed a non-essential business, where a liquor store was wide open as an essential business. How did that make you feel?
I didn't give it much thought. I will say that obviously, like, I mean, I, first of all, our mental health is,
Yeah,
the how we take care of our mental health is essential. There's no doubt about it. I mean,
exactly.
it's our being. It affects everything that happens in this world. I've seen it affect so many people, and in fact, Bertie's boyfriend,
Yeah,
passed away during that time, and it's tragic, and I think that was the one thing that really, really bothered me the most.
yeah,
But yet it fueled my fire to be able to provide people with services like yoga and meditation. And I basically, through it all, and again, I live in South Carolina. I'm not saying any of it was not real. I totally get it.
yeah, yeah,
We took precaution, but I also, it was kind of like weighing out, what's the worst of the evil. And especially after Bertie's boyfriend passed away, I was like, we need to take care of our people. And I made
yeah.
it so people felt safe coming to the studio. I gave them the option to wear a mask, not to wear a mask, be vaccinated. Like, this is your life, you
Yeah.
live it, And so people responded very, very well to it, and they respected the boundaries and the guidelines that we had, but they also were able to reap the benefits of the studio. And I mean, I'm telling you, each day I still get, I mean, I really do. Like, it's crazy. The days that I wanted to throw in the towel during that time, I would get texts from people saying, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Like, thank you for what you do. And I was like, just when I wanted to just like,
Yeah.
be like, I'm done. I'm
Why
not
did you
doing
have to
this
send it?
anymore.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
So,
So, yeah.
yeah, how many
So,
different states how many different states do you cover for the sales job?
oh gosh, I have all of the East Coast, which is, from Vermont through probably going all the way to Delaware. And
Okay.
then I go from then middle of the country is not mine. And then I'll go from like I have Utah, I have California, I have Arizona, I have oh
Nevada.
my gosh, I have yeah, I have Nevada, I have a ton of states out west also.
So you really get you were able to see the name that shall not be named from a multitude of states
Yeah, and that's the part that just like I could write a book on conversations that I've had with
with
people, like
people in the different areas.
locals.
Yeah.
I mean, like you go to, in fact, I have to go to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho next week, and I was there right after the pandemic. In fact, I think that was one of my first trips that I took for an event that we had, and it was like it didn't even exist. Like it didn't even
Yeah.
exist in the past. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it was really just mind blowing, really mind blowing. Just so interesting to me how different people react
Yeah.
and how they. And I saw it with my parents too. I mean, my parents are in their 80s and they're very active people, and you know, they were just fearful of everything.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the part that really that I struggle with. I struggle with the repercussions of that.
Did you have strong discussions with your parents during that time? And I asked because
I try.
the only person, well, my mother-in-law is still alive. She's in her mid 80s, and she was very adamant that it was a real thing, and we weren't allowed to visit her, and
Mhm.
and we're like, okay,
I think I actually had it more. I tried not to have those conversations. My typical response was, you know what, and I truly believe it is that my life is in God's hands, my higher power's hands, and you know, I could step off a curb and get hit by a bus
yeah,
tomorrow. Like we have no control over stuff like that. And I've been through hell and back and many I we were in 9/11. I mean there were so
uh,
many different things that we've experienced personally that I was kind of like, you know what, this is not
just
that it was
another,
ever a layup. It was not a layup by any means, but it was kind of like I just need to treat it with the same, I guess, reverence, if you will, and just understand where I'm at. And again, and that's where yoga and meditation play a really big role in my life and how I view things for sure.
what, and I've had some yogis on the show, so because I really enjoy and I think a lot of business travelers should have some centering, some meditation when you're on the road and in a hotel trying to figure out
Hmm.
why am I here? I'm away from my family. I mean, you go through a lot of mental things as a business traveler. So
Yeah,
how has
no doubt.
meditation helped you with some of that?
So, I mean, I first of all, it's like part of my life. Like I wake up
Yeah.
every morning, I make sure that I do it, or I go teach a class, or I'm with people who, you know, and we have these conversations. I've surrounded myself with through the yoga studio with so many incredible,
Nice.
solid, authentic people. So, I mean, the blessing in that, even I look back and like I cringe at during, you know, 2020 and beyond. And then I think about all the, you know, the wonderful gifts that I got through it.
Yeah.
The other thing that it's really helped me with is in my business. So I'm in healthcare. I sell advertising and custom media and event sponsorships in and research in the healthcare industry. So I talk to, you know, CEOs, CFOs, all the C suites in the hospital systems.
Yeah.
I would have conference calls with them, and the other thing is, so what I do is I act as a liaison between those decision makers in the hospitals and health systems, and then the people who want to get their solutions into the hospitals. So I work with them. So I told my team, I said, from you know March of 2020 to say I kept on doing things in like 3 month increments.
Yeah.
So I would go till July and I'd be like, okay, well, let's assess where we are in July. But from March through July, I was like, I'm not selling anything. Don't expect me to put anything in my pipeline. I'm not doing anything. And so what I would do is I would call all of my clients and I would say, hey, or you know, send an email out saying, I'm looking to put together a coffee hour or a cocktail hour, you know, virtual cocktail hour,
Yeah.
whatever. I'd send them a gift card for, you know, whatever. And then invite your entire marketing team to this call and let's talk. And I'm also a life coach. So I kind of conducted it in a life
In that way.
coach
Yeah.
kind of fashion. And one, it allowed me to meet everybody on the team who most of them, some of them are still there, some of them are not.
All right.
So the people that I had good relationships with, might have left the company for whatever reason. And then I was able to have the connections with the people who were new to the team, or, they were allowed to stay on.
Yeah.
And so it was really actually, I didn't anticipate doing it that way or for that reason. It was more like, I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear what you're experiencing. Let me tell you what I'm hearing from our providers,
Right.
and maybe we can help you get through this time. So that worked out beautifully for me, because come July, August, they were calling me and saying,
Wide
we have to
open.
spend this money. We got to get this done before the quarter ends or the year ends. So it worked out nicely. And I developed really good relationships with these people.
Financially, I'm 100% commission sales rep, right? So,
Hmm.
so when it first hit in March of 2020, I was
Hmm.
like, we got some problems.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if the stores aren't open, I can't ship, and if I can't ship, I don't
Right.
get paid. And I was
Right.
like, I don't know, and it's been a blessing because the last 2 years have been the best years I've ever had. It's been
I had
really bizarre.
that year. Yeah. That year was my best year. I have salary and commission. So they didn't cut my salary because they
Mm.
figured that my commission would, kind of trail off. But honestly, just those 3 months of just kind of sitting and supporting my clients, really, I really reaped the benefits. And
Yeah,
now, even this year, I mean, and then I reap the benefits in the sense that my company also gave me a higher number to meet this year. But you
of
know what?
course.
I had a colleague call me and go, "Did you get your numbers? Like, is this crazy? This is insane." And I'm like, "Look, at the way I look at it is I'm going to make more money.
Yeah.
Let's turn this thought around." Like, I just think through this whole thing, like innovation, it's created such incredible ideas, and different people have been brought together to brainstorm and create different ways to do things. We needed a shakeup.
I wanted to ask you, do you think having the yoga studio? So for me, the Travel Wind Show, the name comes from when I would travel to my different accounts throughout California and I have Hawaii. I would always be. I'm like, when I was driving to them, I'd be like, okay, I got to hit this number. They got to buy this many shirts. I need to see this many pair, and I would just like over my head. And on a 6 hour drive in California, you're like, ah. So I tried to focus on different things. Like, now I'm going to go see a museum on this trip, or I'm going to go here, something to create a win before
Hmm.
I got to my job. And
Right.
the podcast is a huge win every time I get to talk to you, because now the focus, now I can go, okay, now I got to get this done. I got, it's
Right.
busied my life. So now
Yep.
I have to be more focused when I'm at the different sections.
Yeah. And
So
that's without a doubt, that's where I am. I mean, I actually, if I have nothing to do, I get nothing done.
yeah, yeah,
So I like being busy, and through yoga and meditation, I've actually learned how to really, you know, set my values and my priorities, families first,
yeah.
that's bottom line. And so I'm able to really define the time, and I don't let people, like Birdie will call me 50 times a day. 50, like I'm not, that's no joke. I'm not kidding you. And I will go, I won't answer her, or I will say, I know this sounds really silly, but I need you to set up a time with me. If you have something to talk about,
Yeah,
make a list, because I have to be really mindful of my time, because there's only 24 hours in a day and I'd like to sleep at some point,
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
Eh, you
yeah.
know.
Sleep, whatever. Yeah, but I really feel like the podcast, and for you, the yoga studio, maybe took the stress off, or
Yes,
the income job, which made the income job better, because now I wasn't
absolutely.
I wasn't freaked out going into the meeting, because I'm thinking that, okay, I get to talk to Pam today, and you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So
Yeah, without a doubt. And in fact, my company had called me early into the pandemic, and asked if they could interview me. And it's interesting because I was really concerned. I was like, I don't know if I'm allowed to even start a business, and like, how are they going to view this? And they actually, it's amazing how the culture shifted. And I
yeah,
think this isn't just for my company, but I think the culture shifted where it was like, let's find out what she's passionate about. And the truth of the matter is when you do something that you're passionate about, you're going to do everything better. And
Yeah.
people joke, they'll say, oh, well, when are you going to quit your job? I'm like, I don't want to quit my job. I love my job.
I'm the same way.
I love my job. I
Yeah.
love what I do. It affords me the opportunity to do this. Like, we can't live on yoga alone. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
But I've been fortunate enough this year. We just started a retreat angle. So
Hmm.
we're going to be doing retreats next year. We just did just kind of a pilot retreat, and it's 17 people sign up.
That's
Like, I
awesome.
did not even expect that. And then we just implemented our 200-hour certification program, and that starts in October. So it's been it's a lot of work, but it's
Yeah.
definitely fulfilling, and I love it.
Life should be a lot of work in some ways. I mean,
Mhm.
I like the podcast is a lot of work for me, because once we get done, then I have to download it, I have to edit it, I have to put everything together.
Right, right.
But what was I going to do? Sit and watch TV anyways. I mean,
Exactly. And I don't watch TV. It's very rare that I watch TV unless it's like golf or US Open tennis. So,
well, you know what I found when I'm traveling, when I used to sit in the hotel rooms, and now I have my RV, but I would just sit and watch TV at night in the hotel room because I'm like, well, what am I going to do? And now that I have
mhm.
the podcast, I'm like, well, I could edit, I could do this. Let me reach out to this person.
Right,
Let me see. I feel like I always have something to do.
right, right. Exactly.
So
Same here.
that's a good deal.
Yeah.
All right. So let's bring up the kids.
Oh, those kids.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I have three children. I have Haley, who is 25. She is now living in Portland, Oregon.
Oh,
She
nice.
is in she's in the music industry. She started out of college with Warner Music, and then she realized that although it was a really, really good experience, she recognized that she could make a better living in a different area of music.
Sure.
To make an income there, and then live in LA at the same time. It's not easy.
Yeah.
So she is working for a ticketing company. I don't know if I can mention the name, but it's Dice. And so she is an account manager for them, and she loves it. She's doing great. But she also has followed her passion. She's starting a new podcast.
Yep.
She's gone through a very, very deep personal transformation. The same year that Birdie lost her boyfriend, Haley lost four of her friends in a terrible car accident. And I think that just kind of jolted her and kind of kicked her out of that comfort zone, and was like, I got to do some, you know, deep reflection on what's going on in life and stuff. So that has sent her on an incredible journey. And so she is a certified life coach. So she has actually created a business for supporting musicians and artists,
Which
and
they
life
need.
coaching them. Yeah, which they need. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a really big. Her handle on Instagram is authentically Haley, and she's all about, you know, showing up as you are and being who
Yeah.
you are and not being afraid to show it. So she's amazing. Like I said, she's my feisty one. She's been since the day she was born. And she's doing really well. It's just, she's going through those growing pains and being 25, but
Yeah.
man, I wish I knew and had the awareness that she has
Yeah.
at 25, instead of getting it when I was, like 40.
I'm
So,
still waiting. I'm still waiting.
yeah. And then my son Jack is 23, and he is in his last semester at Clemson University. He's a finance
Nice.
major, and he actually just landed his full-time job with a company called Booz Allen Hamilton. So he'll be
Big company.
a business analyst for them. So he's excited about that.
Yeah, that's a big company.
Yeah, he's like one of those kids, because had a golf scholarship out of high school and played for a small private college here in South Carolina. And then he said, I want to go to a real school. It was like a suitcase
Yeah.
school. And I mean, it was great. Those 2 years were fantastic for him. And he's an incredible golfer. But he wanted to go to Clemson. So he transferred there. And, so the journey he's been on has been a really fun one. He loves to play golf and travel and do his thing.
Sure.
So Jack always manages to land on his feet, so I'm not worried about
No,
him.
he's going to booze
I'm not
out,
worried
and
about
that's
any of my kids. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, but and that's the thing. It's like and it's so funny because my mom was like, "What do you mean he's not graduating on time? What do you mean?" And it's like it's so amazing how like the old school, it's like
Yeah,
this is how it's supposed to be.
it ain't
And
that way no more.
I'm like, Mom, it's his journey. Let him
Yeah.
just live his life. This isn't your life, you know? And honestly, if he graduated on time, if you will, he might not have gotten that great job, So I'm all about timing and,
Yeah.
all that. And then there's my baby birdie, my little songbird. She is
We
a
won't. We don't even need.
singer-songwriter.
We don't need to talk about her.
I mean, she's I just got back from were in the studio and she just shows up, man.
Yeah,
She is a funny bird.
a
She
funny
she
bird.
cracks she just cracks me up. Her outfits, she can't go out, without being, you never know who you're gonna meet, mom, that kind of thing.
Wow. Yeah.
And then she gives into the studio like she owns it. And in fact, that was her second time. She's only been in Nashville for a year,
Yeah.
and what she's accomplished so far, like just this week, she recorded 4 more songs. We went to a different studio. The guy at the studio was like, this is her second time, like she's like a pro at this is awesome. And so she's got 4 new songs coming out. She also just got booked for 4 different shows, and she's going to be going out to California in November to open
Nice.
for Ty Herdman. So yeah, so like things are happening for her, and there's nothing better than when your kids are happy and content.
You ain't kidding.
I mean, when
You
they're
ain't
happy,
kidding.
I'm happy. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, so it's really, it's nice when that happens. And when you have more of them, the problem is that it kind of, one's great and 3
Yeah.
aren't, and
Yeah. Yeah.
three's great and one's not, so it's been a ride like that. But right now, knock on wood,
Yeah.
everybody is status quo.
I hear you. Yeah. It was interesting because I'm trying to think back. The the time that shall not be named really affected my youngest daughter, and her now husband, who was her fiance at the time. They both got laid off separately,
Yeah.
and it turned into, so one was my son-in-law was a cook, a chef,
Hmm.
and my daughter was a personal assistant, and
Right.
they both got laid off. So we're like, what are you going to do? And they're like, we don't
Yeah.
know. They're doing better now, both of
Yeah.
them. So
Yeah, well, that happened actually with my boyfriend of 12 years. He and it sounds so silly for a 54-year-old woman to call her my significant other, I'll call him, but it sounds so silly because I sound like a teenager when I call him my boyfriend. But he, during that time, and you're in sales, so you get it, but
yeah,
he was salary and commission. But or actually, I should say he was a draw. So he
yeah,
took as little as he could and then just covered it with his commission.
yeah,
And during that, his boss said, we're cutting all commissions, just paying salary. And I was like, wait, what? Like
yeah,
you can't do that. And so I mean, that went on. He's like, it'll, probably in 3 months, it'll be fine. We'll be fine.
yeah,
It's all good. Da da da.
yeah.
3 months go by. It didn't change. And so I finally just put my foot down and was like, something's got to give. And he ended up starting his own business, and he
There you
runs his
go.
own business, and he is making, way more than he was even when he was getting his commission, and he can, do
That's
whatever
his
he wants. He
business.
can
Yeah,
travel wherever he wants and do his thing, So there's definitely good things that came out of it. There's no
yeah,
doubt, without a doubt. It's just, but it also left some people, you know,
yeah.
a little
Well, my best friend from high school
discombobulated.
passed away, but from COVID, from that name,
Hmm. Yeah.
you know. So, how freaked out? I'm trying to think back, like April, May of 2020, between your
Mhm.
boyfriend, the kids, you. I mean, like I said, we were sitting here going, it's gonna be rough.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
my wife's Pilates studio, she worked at 3 different studios. And they all had to shut
Mhm.
down. So it was
Yeah.
like, and then we were shipping in California. But like for me, all of a sudden my online stores were booming. And I
Right.
mean, it was
Right.
Christmas time for my online stores.
You're lucky that you had that. That's
Oh
amazing.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Well, yeah, we went from being empty nesters to
yeah,
having 3 adult children home.
yeah,
And let me tell you something,
I would hate
that
to go
yoga
back.
studio, that yoga studio was my saving grace.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm just gonna go work in the garden.
I
And
have to go.
I literally would lay in the studio on my mat, like in the fetal position, like just going,
Exactly.
what is going
What
on?
happened?
You know, what happened? But you know what? We made the best of it. I mean, we learned about a lot about each other. I see the growth in my children. I see the growth in
Yeah.
my relationship because I was traveling a lot. And so it didn't, I mean, I've been with Yegi for 12 years and worked out great because I would see
Yeah.
him like there would be times that like I'd come home and I'd like high five him and be like, "Hey, what's up? I've got to go again."
Yeah.
So we all learned a lot. I think if you can look at it and look at in fact, I have a tattoo on my wrist that says "Embrace what's good," and it's
Yeah.
like just to like not ignore the crap, but like let's just focus on what's good. So my kids would come home and, with my ex-husband who, he suffered a lot of PTSD from 9/11 and, he'd be drunk and they'd go, Dad's drunk again. And I'd be like, can we just embrace what's good? Let's
Yeah.
just focus on what we got right here. Like, let's just focus on that. Like, we'll talk about that. We'll compartmentalize that and we'll talk about it at a different time because I could only handle so much.
See,
So,
that's literally how I came up with the name Travel Wins, because I'd get to the hotel or wherever I was that night and go, okay, what was my win for the day?
yeah,
And then like
yeah.
I remember I was on the same road that James Dean died on is the road I have to go to my job. So
Oh, cool.
it's called the James Dean interchange. But
Right.
going up a hill, it's near Shandon. It's a real hilly area.
Uh-huh.
There's a big rig that was right ahead of me, and the tires blew out of the back.
Oh, my
I mean, I don't know
goodness.
if you ever heard it. It sounded like gunshots.
Oh,
It
yeah.
shook my
Yep.
car,
Yep.
and I was like, and like poof, you just see him just blow out.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, well, that's my win for the day. Because if I would have been
Yep.
going a little bit faster, I would have been next to them.
Yep.
You know,
And who knows? Yep.
that was my
Exactly.
so right there. But that's where I go. Okay, that's my
I
win
do
for the
that
day.
too.
So
Yep.
everything else doesn't matter.
Yeah, I start my day, with my meditation, a little bit of movement, and then have a manifestation journal and I literally write, I have it, right here. I write all the things like as they exist, like as they do exist, or as I want them to exist, but I speak at it, I
Yeah.
speak about them like they are actually happening. And you'd be surprised. I had and I started that after I found a notebook when I started my life coaching certification.
Hmm.
I went into one of the closets and I was running late and I pulled out a notebook from 10 years ago. And that was when I was going through, or now it's been about 14 years, but when I was going through my divorce, and I wrote down on a piece of paper, when I am 52 years old, these are the things that are going to be happening. This is how much I'm going to be making. This is what I'm
Yeah.
going to be doing, whatever. There was one thing and then I closed, I hadn't seen it for 10 years. Hadn't seen it for 10 years. And then I closed it, I guess packed it up, whatever. And then I had grabbed that notebook. And when I was in my certification program, I turned the page and I saw it.
It was.
And I went through all of them and I was like, the only thing I don't have is my beach house. That's the only thing that was on the list. And I had a list of like maybe 15 things.
And they
And
were
I
all
was like,
there.
that's crazy. So it's like
Yeah.
you can set that intention subconsciously and you can
Yeah.
set that intention, each day. So that's what I try to do.
It's interesting because I try to do the same thing, but I don't put it down. Maybe I should,
Yeah.
but because
Yeah.
my list is always in my head. Like, okay, I'm like, here's what I want to go. Here's what I need to do. But I'm
Oh,
always
see, you're
trying.
better than I am. I have to have that list. I have a bullet journal where it's like I write down all the stuff I need to do
Well, the
and then I
negative
just
is it's
cross them
always
out.
in my head, you
That
know.
well, yeah, and
So maybe putting it
that's what I
down,
do.
I could get it out of my head
Yeah.
for 5-10 minutes.
Look up a thing called, you can get it on Amazon. It's called a bullet journal, BULLET, and it comes with a book and it will tell you like basically how to kind of organize your life. I get very lost in all the details and I get overwhelmed by it, but so I kind of created you know,
Yeah.
my own way of doing it, but it's really helped me considerably. Like, because I used to have lists this long. And now what I do is I take that big list, I'll write it out like on a Sunday night, and then I'll prioritize and go, okay, I'm going to do these three tomorrow. I'll do these three the next day. I'll do these five that next day, that kind of thing. And it really helps me manage my time so much better
Well,
and not get overwhelmed.
and so what advice would you give other business travelers? Do you think the bullet journal really helps? Because I mean,
Oh, yeah. I think the bullet journal, and I think honestly, like every morning, and this is why I just got back from Tennessee with Birdie, and I
yeah,
had to come home because I have my routine. And so, like every morning when I let the dogs out at 5 a.m., I'll let them out, and then I walk the perimeter of my yard barefoot to like get
grounding.
grounded,
Yep.
you know, and then I do my stuff. And like I just my suggestion, the bullet journal is amazing. But I think also just it's really important in order for you to be there for your clients or your family or anybody, you've got to preserve your own energy and really take care
Totally.
of yourself. And it it only has to be 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be, an hour, although I've gotten into,
I think
times
that's a
where it
misconception.
exceeds
Yeah.
that.
Even 'cause
Yeah.
that's even if it, like you said, even if it's just 10 minutes, just
Yeah. And that's the other thing, like I did with clients. I had a client call me and say, "Look, would you mind doing like, a meditation series with my team?" And I was like, "Sure." And like we literally I would teach them about meditation, and then we would do like just a short 10-minute meditation,
yeah,
and we do different types of meditation, and they've taken that with them. And that's just another way of building. I think for people who travel, it's so important to build relationships. Like you were talking about
yeah,
how what numbers do I have to get in this and that. I used to be like that. I used to when I worried more about the numbers, I didn't
yeah.
really achieve them or attain them the way that I wanted to. Now I worry
Exactly.
more about my relationships with my clients. And so now I'm their go-to person. If they have an extra, 30 grand to spend or, whatever it is, they'll be like, I've got this. And if I don't use it, we're done. Like I'll lose it.
All
I'm
right.
like, okay, come on.
Well, we can help you. We can help you with that.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we can help you. So yeah. So that's what I would say.
So I'm trying to think back, like obviously with Birdie, and she'll start touring, and like you said, she's going to come out to
Mhm.
California. Yeah. So
Yeah.
hopefully
Oh
she'll.
yeah. Are you near Seal Beach?
I am very close to Seal Beach.
Okay. Well,
I know where
she's going
she's
to
going to
be
play.
opening.
Then she's going to play
Yeah.
right on the beach, right?
At Spagattini. There's a place called Spagattini, and if
Okay.
you look it up, you'll see Ty Herdman is playing there, and she's going to be opening up for him.
Because there's a place that Boot Barn, my largest account,
Hmm.
rented out. There's a place on the beach where as you're just like riding your bike or roller skating,
Hmm.
there's bands playing. It's kind of
That
cool.
might be it. I'm
I
not
don't know.
sure.
I don't
So,
think that's it.
yeah,
I'll look it up.
yeah.
So
So,
I will have to crash her Seal Beach
yeah,
performance.
come crash it, come crash it. They're selling tickets. I just bought mine the other day, and she was, of course, that's all she does. Also, it's like a reality show with her. Like she's got to videotape everything. So I'm like, can you please not put me on TikTok or
Yeah.
any of your social media? But I always end up showing up. In fact, my boyfriend just said, I saw you on something, some reel or whatever. I'm like, oh, what'd you do now?
My wife does that with me. So she's like, because I put it out, with my travels and all that. And she's like, but we have to have a social media free zone.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely,
So,
definitely.
so what other, trying to think, because you're a life coach, you got the yoga, and what's your take on sound baths?
Oh my gosh. They are, well, first of all, so because I owned a yoga studio, I ended up going to get my 200-hour certification. And then I went on and I actually teach Series 26, which is, I'm not allowed to say, but it's like it mimics Bikram yoga. It's a 104-degree class. So I got my certifications for those, which I love, and I'm so happy that I did. But the benefits of like owning this studio is just all of the other things that come along with it. So we
Yeah.
have managed to, like I said, I started it and I'm like, oh, how hard is it to get yogis and how hard is it to get teachers? And that's why I got my certification, because
Because it's
people
hard
would go,
enough.
I can't make it. And then I'd be
Yeah.
like, well, I can't sub for you because I don't know
I'm
what I'm
not.
doing. I mean, I
Yeah.
could figure something out, but I'm not certified. So anyway, that's why I got it. But that original reason why I got certified turned into a whole, that turned into a whole other thing. just personal growth
Usually
development,
does.
just a
Yeah.
major transformation. Amazing. So if anybody is looking for that, I highly suggest, whether you want to teach or not, to definitely research that and look into that. In regards to the sound baths,
Yeah.
I have incredible facilitators. My friend Ray Carmen, who does breath work, and she's an intuitive, and she does all this amazing stuff. And then Faye Nolman, she does the crystal sound bowls, and she is amazing. Like the experience that you get from that. And then my friend Danielle Mercurio, and these are all friends that I met just
So
walking into the studio,
yeah.
coming in saying, "What's the Haven all about?" And she does the gong baths,
Yeah.
and that they're different. So the sound bath is more for me personally. I'm sure everybody's experience is different, but it really brings you to a whole other level. Whereas the gong for me, I just set up on a bolster, I get comfortable, and literally, look, Birdie's calling me right now. It's so funny. Literally,
I was gonna say I
I'm
could text her.
surrounded.
Leave your
Text
mom
her and say, I'm
alone.
on with your, leave her alone, leave her alone. But I'll be, you're just surrounded by the sound, and it
Yeah.
is the ultimate of relaxation. Ultimate. I mean, I can't even describe it.
I was
It's
gonna say
amazing.
why, and I ask you because we started going to a sound bath. Now I think this week we're getting our Tibetan our bowls.
Oh,
So
oh, how
I
exciting. Yeah.
that's a gong right behind you, right behind me.
Wait, so who does your wife play the
She's
gong?
going to, yeah,
Oh, I'm telling you, and you probably would, most definitely would benefit from it, because you sound
yeah,
very much like me, with the mind just constantly going and
yeah,
constantly going. And that was honestly the first time in my life. I don't medicate myself anymore, but the first time in my life that I shut everything off. Like literally, I was like in an envelope of sound,
yeah,
and literally just shut everything off. My thoughts, nothing mattered. But I didn't fall asleep. That was the crazy thing. It was like I was there, but I wasn't. It
yeah.
was, I can't describe it. It's something. And I think, like I said, I think the experience is different for everybody.
And we're in the same boat. It's I wish it's kind of one of those things like you have the opportunity because you have your daughters, your children. I won't forget your
Hmm.
son, and I have my
Hmm.
two daughters. And I talk to them now about the things I wish I try to share. These are the things I wish I would have known in my 20s.
Hmm.
That I'm now in
Yeah.
my 50s and I'm sharing back with you.
Yeah.
As far as grounding,
Yeah.
relax, have multiple things, create a win, create a
Yeah.
positive mindset.
Well, it's interesting because honestly, I think I really truly attribute being where I am in this space in my life right now, because like I remember just, growing up with my parents, and like I put my dad on such a pedestal, and
Yeah.
he had a massive heart attack on a plane going overseas to Spain, and was, luckily he's not only, he's still alive, he's 83 years old, but he ended up having a brain hemorrhage because they gave him TPA when he landed too late, whatever, and had brain surgery and all this stuff. And I just remember rolling him into the operating room and thinking to myself, he's human. Like this
Yeah.
guy's human,
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it today before I got on this call with you, and I'm like, the amount of stuff that I have learned from my children. Like we always think like it's the parents that are the
Oh
wise
no. Yeah.
ones. Generations have changed,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I learn more from my child. I learn something from my children every
I
single day.
I had such a great experience. I'm doing this podcast because of my daughter,
Hmm.
right? So as a parent, I would always teach them you have to try.
Yeah.
What's the worst that can happen, right? So
Yeah.
my daughter got her job. She her first job out of high school, so she's going into college, and she's like, "Should I apply?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." It was for a celebrity,
Hmm.
and so she calls and they go, "They want to interview me. Should I go?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." I go,
Yeah.
"Worst case scenario is you get to tell your friends that you interviewed for this job."
Right.
She gets the job, and she comes back. Should I take it? I'm like, "Well, yeah." You know, well, because it was her first job,
Yeah.
like her absolute first job ever, and she ended up working there for a year, and I think she did really well, and then She ended up working for some really, really big celebrities in
Mm-hmm.
California, a family of girls, you might say.
Mm-hmm. I could
And
guess.
yeah, and uh, and she worked for them for a year and a half or 2 years
Mm-hmm.
now. And but I was the one telling her, yeah, why not? You could do it. Don't worry about it. And then when I
Yeah.
had a friend ask me about doing a podcast, I was like, oh man, I got to start taking my own advice,
Yeah.
because I don't,
Yep. No doubt.
I didn't know how to record my voice. I didn't know how to edit my voice. I didn't know how to do,
Yep.
how to promote it, how to do platforms. And I'd let her call my daughter and I go, hey,
Yep.
here's what I want to do. Here's what I need help with. She goes, okay. She'd text me, check this website out, check this out, check this
Yeah.
product out, check this.
Well,
So,
I think, yeah, I mean, I think about it. I think about how, I mean, I was so scared to take this leap with this yoga studio because I was like,
yeah,
what am I doing? But like, I just felt this calling and I was like, I know, like, I have something to give. Like, I know I have something to give. And it's like, when you speak of it from a place of knowing, I think that it's easier to do things, and easier
yeah,
to take the leap, you know. And I learned a lot. I learned how to get my own business license. I learned how to, form an LLC. I learned how to, I didn't pay anybody to do it because I was like, I don't want to dump all my money into this. I
yeah,
did everything organically, and I also didn't come out of the gate hard and like buy all the props and buy all this
yeah.
and do that. I just was kind of like,
Build it.
let's just see how this all happens. And when people ask, then we'll figure out how we're going to do it, and I'll run a special or whatever it is. So, and then I built my own website, which I'm like the biggest technophobe ever. Like the
I
fact that
know.
I'm even on Zoom with you right now is miraculous. But you learn through those things. If you don't
Yeah.
try it, you're not gonna know. And so I think that's the thing. In fact, in my yoga training, somebody would ask, well, how do you know like when you're done? Like, like this personal growth thing, like when are you done? And the
Yeah.
instructor would go, when you die.
When you're in the
Like,
ground. Yeah.
and it's like
Yeah.
every day you need to be evolving.
How
So
important do you, as a salesperson and,
mhm,
and a traveler, how important do you find it? Like, well, two questions. How important is it to be listening and taking in positive information from others, i.e., whether it's a motivational speaker or
mhm,
something to that effect? And then how do you fill up your time when because you spend a lot of time in the airplanes. How do you fill up
mhm.
that? Do you shut down? Do you listen to music? Do you watch movies? How do you fill up that time?
Yeah, it depends. I go back and forth with different things. It really depends on like what's going on, in my day job, my sales job.
Yeah.
So if I've got something to get going there, then I'm working on that. It could be something that I need to do for the yoga studio, and just like those hours of not getting phone calls
Yeah.
help me just kind of focus on that. I generally dedicate Sunday nights to the yoga studio and updating things and doing things like that.
Okay.
Because if I did anything else, it would just I can't mix them. I have to kind of compartmentalize everything. I listen to tons of podcasts. I listen to books on tape. Um, I listen to Birdie's music. She'll send me
Yeah.
tons of things to just listen to and give feedback. Not that I'm like musical by any
No,
means,
but
but like she
no.
she values my feedback, so I give it to her. And sometimes she'll go, yeah, that's stupid, mom, or she'll be like, yeah, that's awesome. So I feel it differently, but I honestly I'm all about anything that is going to help me kind of propel forward and
Yeah.
and experience something different.
Well, for me, I think I used to listen to a lot of motivational speakers prior to my podcast, but now
Hmm.
it's so time consuming that I have
Yeah.
less time for that until I start driving or flying. And that's
Yeah.
when I'll kind of get caught up with listening to the people that kind of make me go,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I listen to a bunch of different people, and now I get to listen to my daughter Haley. I can't wait. I think her
yeah,
podcast is coming out August 25th. So I'm
it's coming
anxious to
up.
hear that. And
Yeah,
yeah, so I whatever I can kind of get my hands on that's of interest to me. I do that. I love documentaries. Love
yeah, yeah.
documentaries. I just watched one called Heal, and talking about the power of your mind over your body.
Okay.
So that resonates with me because we can definitely. talk
Absolutely.
ourselves into certain things and out of certain things. So
For good and bad.
yeah, for good and bad, for
Yeah.
sure.
Going through the divorce that I had and then getting remarried, I can attest to some of that.
Yeah, that's fun. Like I honestly, that's one of the reasons why I don't know if I'll ever get married again because I really don't ever want to get divorced again, ever. I mean, just no thanks.
I told Wendy, my wife, I go, you're it. I go, one or the other. This is it. I
Yeah,
go, I'm
yeah,
not going through this again.
yeah,
Like,
no doubt.
I'm all good.
Yeah, it's all good.
So what if people are in Greenville, South Carolina area,
Hmm.
what's the best way for people to reach out and see what you have coming up and going on?
Sure. So they can go to thehavenyoga.com. It is a small little intimate studio that has, it
It's cool
actually has two
looking.
studios. It's such a great space.
Yeah.
It's got a hot studio. It's got an unheated studio. It's in Simpsonville, South Carolina, which is
Okay.
the most adorable town ever. It's really built up. It's a walking town, and I love it there. And then you can find us at the Haven Yoga at on Instagram, and you can see everything that we do. And then if you go to the website, you can see I have a blog called Perfectly Flawed. So you can kind of check that out, and we talk
Nice.
about just real things and what's happening in life, and how
Are you
we kind of get through things.
are you moving to Tennessee, you said? Or are you thinking about it?
Yes. Well, no. So I'm splitting my time
Okay.
between the place two, just because I would like to keep my boyfriend and he's based here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. That helps.
so yeah. So we'll go back and forth. We'll definitely go back and forth. And now that Birdie's getting a lot busier, she's going to need some help. I mean, a lot of things are just all of a sudden, just since she's
All
done your
good.
podcast, also, she's got a lot of opportunities going on. So it's really exciting.
Are you going to build a Haven Yoga in Tennessee?
No, what I'd like to do is, I mean, I will always be a part of the Haven Yoga, but I really would love to kind of, I've developed this as a platform for people to come and explore their potential. So using
Yeah.
this, like you walk through the door, you want to be a yoga instructor, here, do this. I encourage people, like people will come to me and be like, I was thinking about this workshop, like I'm interested in this. I'm like, try it, see what
Yeah.
happens, throw the spaghetti up against the wall. So I'm hoping like this year will be the profitable year, and then
Yeah.
I would really, I mean, I think the model is there. It resonates. It's all about like the theme is come as you are, be
Yeah.
who you are. I don't care if you lay on your mat for 60 minutes. You showed up, just show up,
Yeah.
you know, and then everything else comes together. And so I'm hoping at some point that I will be able to either pass it on to somebody who can, sees eye to eye and what the direction that I want to take it. But we have such a good group of people
Yeah.
who just love it. Like they would not be happy if I said, I'm moving to Nashville full time and I'm not doing this. So it provides a lot of peace for a lot of people. And
Sure.
I've seen it. I get texts all the time. It's awesome.
Well, that's why I was asking if you were going to, because I can guarantee one thing. Been to Nashville several times. There's a lot of people in that town that could use it.
No doubt. There are a lot. I've been to
Yeah. Yeah.
several of the
Yeah.
yoga studios there. They're awesome studios, but and I haven't been to all of them, so I can't speak to all of it. But
Sure.
there's just something special about the Haven. It really, I've had several people say, I found my new home, or I feel like I got a big hug when I walked through the door, and I was like,
Yeah.
exactly, that's what I wanted to achieve.
That's the vibe. I
So,
gotcha.
yep, no
And
doubt.
so the Haven Yoga, and then Birdie, you can reach out to Birdie Wilson
Yep, at
on
Birdie
all of her
Wilson on
platforms.
Instagram, on all her platforms. And
It,
she is a piece. She is honestly she really is one of the funniest people I know. Like, I don't know if she like demonstrated that to you or showed that to you, but she just comes out with she's just funny. She's a funny, funny girl. So,
and then
and talented. I mean, I just love
well,
her because like all my kids, they just are who they are and they're not afraid to say, this is who I am,
see, we're almost an
you know?
hour in, Pam. So
Oh,
it's
sorry.
no, that's good because now they'll have to listen all the way to the end to get these compliments.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I get you.
Exactly.
And then,
So
so how can people get a hold of Haley and what she has going on with her
She's at
coaching?
so she is at Authentically Haley on Instagram.
Okay.
And I think that's her website also. How
Okay.
bad is that? I'm a terrible mother. I should have known that. But anyway, but
I'll
if you
cut
go to
that part
Instagram,
out.
you can find it. If you go to Instagram, just go to at Authentically Haley and you'll see
I'll add
all
all
her
those
stuff
links
that's
onto my
happening.
website. So I'll look
Oh,
them
that'd
up,
be
and
great.
then that way anybody
Awesome.
listening can just go to my website and find the links,
Beautiful.
find that right away.
Beautiful. That's
And
great.
and then your son, yeah, he doesn't
My
need any
son.
links.
Well, he doesn't know. He's like, I mean,
Booz
you
Allen
can go if
golfing.
Booz Allen golfing, like he's the mover and the shaker.
Yeah.
He's a different kind of entrepreneur, but
Yep.
he makes things happen. So yeah, so he doesn't have a website yet, but maybe he will. But if
Ah, see.
you'll see him on a golf course for sure. He's already had 3 hole-in-ones. He's been playing since sophomore year in high school. So 6 years. In 6 years,
I've
he's had
only
three
had
hole in
two.
one. I've
I,
had two also.
I interviewed a female professional golfer, and she hasn't had
Mhm.
any.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I had two also. And I remember when my ex-father-in-law, he pulled up and I said, Dad, I got a hole-in-one. And he just looked at me, he goes, I've been playing golf for 30 years. And he goes, and I've
Yeah.
never gotten a hole-in-one.
Yeah.
And
See.
I was like, thanks.
Sorry. Yeah.
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 So anyway, but thank you so much for having me. I
Yeah.
really
So
appreciate the time today.
and if you come out to California, I don't
I
know.
will be out there.
Yeah.
I
Well,
go out there
figure.
often, so I'll definitely, and I'll send you the information actually for Seal Beach
Yeah.
for
For
Birdie's show out there.
spaghetti.
Spaghettini. hmm
Spaghettini. I'll look it up. I'm going to
Yeah,
get the tickets too. It's in November, you
yeah.
said?
It's November 6th.
Oh, good. Okay. 'Cause I'm going
Yeah,
to go see
and then
Billy Idol on November 11th.
oh, cool.
So,
And then she'll be in she's playing in the listening room in Nashville on August 31st. She's just
okay.
doing one song, just one song. And then in Greenville, she'll be here October 6th and October 8th. So I can send you all that stuff if you want to, put that in there,
Yeah. Yeah.
shamelessly
Absolutely.
plugging my children.
What we
Yeah,
do.
I
That's what
know.
we do. Thank you
So
again for your time.
thank
It's
you. I
great meeting
appreciate
you.
it. It was so nice to meet you.
Yeah, and if I haven't been to South Carolina in a while, but I would love to check out the Haven. So
Greenville is amazing. Greenville's an amazing town. So
yeah, I
I hope
loved it.
that
I opened up the Boot Barn in
oh yeah,
well,
Haywood Mall, like
yeah,
over on Lawrence Road.
yeah,
I don't know. I think it's still, I'm assuming it's still there. Yeah.
yeah. I hope so.
So.
Yeah, they have 380
Yeah.
stores now, so it's kind of
Yeah. It's hard to keep track, right?
they're open. They're opening up for like 4 a month right now.
Wow.
So
That's crazy.
yeah.
Amazing.
So
Good.
all righty.
Cool. Well,
Thanks,
thanks so much.
Pam.
Have a beautiful